doesn't make it.
I'm just trying to get you to focus.
That's what I'm saying.
Whenever y'all ready, you can go.
What's the last 2 weeks been like? Everything's been great, and all of a sudden now we hit the choppy water. How have the kids responded in practice and meetings and whatnot?
Yeah, they've been so consistent. That's been the beauty of them. And you know, we're a pitch away from this past weekend from winning the series, and you know, we're a couple pitches away from the weekend before. So they've been great. They are a resilient group. They understand the importance of each day, the importance of wins and losses expiring, and they've handled everything great. Had a great practice yesterday. Their mindsets, their toughness, it's all still there.
Obviously, every week in the SEC is tough. You got Arkansas coming in. I think it was sold out like on Monday from BBN. What's the vibe been around the team and the excitement to have this matchup here at home?
Yeah, super excited. I mean, this would be 2 consecutive home weekends where we are sold out of general chairback seats, correct? We have general admission available, yeah. So it's what we envisioned when we had this park. I think when you look back towards the end of last year, you started seeing the crowd starting to pick up and things like that. And now, obviously, the last 2 weekends, it'll be good. So another great opponent. You're right. You mentioned it. The life in the SEC is why we picked it. So I'm excited to get all the people out, create that home field advantage that we have, and put on a good show for our fans.
You know, batters go through slumps. They can hit their way out of it sometimes. Pitchers, maybe not so much. What have you said to Dominic? He said those first innings have been terrible. What do you say to him? What does he got to do different?
Yeah, it just for us, and not just Dom, our team, whether it's our pitching staff, whether it's us offensively, whether it's us defensively, it all comes back to execution. And when you go back and you watch the video and you watch when we haven't been at our best, it really comes back to execution. And when you execute the pitches that you need to execute, good things happen. And when you don't, bad things happen. So for us, it just comes back to execution, whether it be him or anybody for that matter. So when he executes at a high level like he's fully capable of doing, then he gets the results he wants. And it's no different for our team.
Can you talk a little bit about that trick play you guys did against South Carolina?
Yeah, we, stealing bases is a part of our offense, and it's another thing that our opponents have to prepare for. And you can obviously steal second, you can steal third, you can steal home, you can put on steals when it's first and second, second base only, and then there's your first and third plays. It's a bag of plays and trick plays that we have in there, and you got to wait for the right moment. And I give Pete and Grant a lot of credit for executing it perfectly. Grant told me afterwards, he's like, I had people like texting me and saying, dude, you fell down, what happened? He's like, that was the play, So he actually executed it to perfection, and I'm glad it worked because I've been a part of those where they don't work. But this time it actually worked.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, we've had it in for years. We ran that play when I was in college, like years ago, like all these gray hair,
That long?
yes, a really long time. So it happened to work at the right moment.
What is it like as a coach to be able to see it executed the way it was during the game?
Well, we had set it up in the pitching change, so we knew that was an option. Give Coach Ammo a lot of credit. He had brought it up, and I said, yes, let's do it. So we set it up, and Grant Pete, they were awesome. I mean, just the way they had prepared for it, and they were ready for it, and they wanted it. And as soon as it happened, you just kind of like you get that little butterflies in your stomach, like you're about to do something cool, and it worked out. And just to see how excited our guys were, and this, I tell our team all the time, you can never underestimate the importance of one run, and that run was super important in that game for sure.
So is that something you guys, is this for specific players, or is that kind of whoever's out there can do it, or was that for Grant?
You got to have the right matchup, and when I say the right matchup, I mean we're talking about the guy on the mound, the runner at first, the runner at third, and then you got to have the score, the out in the inning, and then the batter in the box has to be right. So all those things lined up. It was a perfect storm.
How do you feel like the bullpen has responded to maybe having to eat a few more innings than anticipated when maybe the starter doesn't go as long as you guys had intended to? And who has stuck out to you out of those guys who have pitched a lot recently?
Yeah, there's been a bunch, and you guys know this, but when you think about the weekend and I'll maybe give you a different perspective, a different way to look at it. There's 27 innings that you have to fill in a weekend, okay? And obviously, the more your starters can throw, you just start taking out innings, right? So when you can do that, and we've done that at a really high level, especially earlier in the year, now what that does is that allows guys to be fresh. So some guys maybe are not throwing twice on a weekend, or maybe they're only throwing once in a week, or in sometimes we've had guys throw 3 times in a week when you have midweek games. So when you can start getting to the spot where the starters throw a long time, well then those relievers are fresh. Sometimes they only throw an inning. Maybe they face 2 or 3 batters and they only got to get 3 outs instead of 6 and 9, and you just start extending them. So it just makes it harder. So the second the starter gets out a little earlier, now all of a sudden guys are having to throw more, and they're maybe not only throw more on that particular outing, but then that affects maybe the next one. So, but we've had some guys absolutely step up great. I thought Cooper Robinson, what he did on Saturday was phenomenal. Robert Hogan, we've gotten a ton of mileage out of Jackson Novy. Can't say enough good things about what Cam O'Brien has done in that fireman role. We've gotten a lot of mileage out of Johnny. Johnny's had to throw a lot, you know. And yeah, sure, he did not have his best outing on Friday, but he's had a lot of really good outings, and he's closed out a lot of games in a lot of tough environments. So all of those guys, and you know, I'm leaving some off. Ryan Hagenow, getting him back has been great. But the longer our starters can go, the better it makes it for everybody, and that's no secret. That's how baseball's been set up, and it's kind of crazy. Even in Major League Baseball now, starters they don't throw as long. But you know, obviously we've had some guys step up, and the guys I mentioned have done a great job for us to try to move the game along.
Coach, you talked about Johnny, obviously coming from the level that he did to this level. What was the vision when you were first initially recruiting him to come play here, and then how have you seen him grow into the role? Like you said, he's played in a lot of games this year.
Yeah, Johnny was an interesting one, and I give Jake Scott a lot of credit for him. He was our director of player development last year, and he showed up in the portal and watched some video of him, and it was like, whoa, timeout. That's a really good breaking ball. Mm-hmm. He threw a curve and a slider, and you're like, okay, that's a different pitch. And so after watching him and just seeing him, sure, yeah, he's at a Division II school, but man, a good breaking ball is a good breaking ball, whether it's junior college, high school, or the Little League park, right? And so I remember bringing him in and him coming on a visit, and this was a little big for him. Like, I mean, this was something like he's never seen, but he wanted this opportunity, and he was confident in himself. And so when Johnny got here, he came here this summer. He showed up this summer and was a part of it, and working camps and doing things like that. You can slowly just start seeing Johnny get more and more comfortable. Even the first couple weeks in the fall, I think were probably a little different for him. And as the fall went on, you can just see him getting more and more comfortable. And not only him getting comfortable, us understanding Johnny too. You know, Johnny has not been pitching a really long time. He was a catcher and got converted. And so you could just see with each passing day and moment him growing. And then I'll never forget him being on the road at Ole Miss and pitching in that environment and getting a save. And I was like, hey, what was that like? Coach, I had never seen anything like that. I was trying to lick my hands and it was like just dry. And I was like, dude, you probably need to drink more. You're dehydrated, okay? But yeah, just to watch him grow from the time, you know, he stepped foot on campus this summer to time now has been really neat. And to watch our players embrace him. I mean, the way they just embrace him coming into the game. I think another thing about Johnny too is, you know, he sits over there and he coaches first base. He loves paying attention. The guy pays attention and watches the game at a high level. And I just think that helps him, you know, that he's actually in and on the field and in the fight, you know, before he even steps on the mound. So he's been a joy to be around. I just love the way the players embrace him, you know, so.
What's your overall message to the team just going into this series? I know sometimes when you get some losses, it can bring some anxiousness to get back in the win column. So how do you just balance out not overthinking, but also just playing the game that they always have played?
Yeah, so we had a great practice yesterday, and you know we start every practice with a quote of the day. And yesterday was explaining to them that success is a process, it's not a destination, right? So the way you get there is just through continued improvement every day. So for us, just reminding them, hey man, if you're still hanging on to this pitch or that batter you faced or that at-bat, you better get over it. That's over. You know, I even teased Waldy. You know, Waldy, hey man, all your homers and all your stuff, it expired. Sorry, Waldy, new day. Like, sorry, like good or bad, sorry. You know, so we've just focused on trying to make each day our masterpiece. And yesterday was a good reminder of that. We'll do that again today with practice. We'll get out there for a couple hours. I reminded them this is finals week. Let the baseball field be a place where they can just relax and concentrate and compete at a high level and just leave all their tests and projects and everything they got to do with school to try to finish up, leave it there and just be here in this moment. And then when practice finishes, what's important now after that, they're going to eat, they're going to stay hydrated, and they're going to go back to their schoolwork, and just keeping them in the moment. And they've done a great job of that, but that continues to be the message. Nothing else, just staying right here in the moment.
Can you remember a series recently that, like you just had, you let one get away, then you have a softball game, and then nothing goes right? There are so many highs and lows in those 3 games. Can you remember one that, because I can't.
Man, do you? Maybe 2018, Missouri at home. Caught him hit a grand slam late, or I just remember. Don't you remember something like that? The wind was blowing out, or it was just like a back and forth battle and stomping on plates. And do you remember that? Am I remembering this right? That would maybe the last time I can remember something like that, to where it was just like bam, 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 and there was a lot. There was a lot to take in. But again, I just love our guys' fight. I love our fight. Saturday showed it. I mean, Friday night, it's a tie game going into the 9th. You put up 3 and then they answer back, and then we just come right back on Saturday and just do what we did. It's their competitive spirit of fight is there.
The pitchers for Diamond and Mason, obviously tough back-to-back starts. There's a fine line for pitchers. They're different breeds, as we know. Are they able to, you had a bad one, and then Dom's had 2. Are they able to flush it and refocus immediately, or is there a 48-hour span of, gosh, what was I doing?
Yeah, no, I think those would probably be better questions for them, for them maybe getting inside your brain. But, dude, I mean, how could you not have some of that, right? Some of the self-doubt, some of the hold on, but that's what we need them to get past that. And I don't know if they have that. I'm sure they have some, but I met with Mason yesterday, had a great meeting. We watched some video, showed him some stuff, went back to last year when he was at his best. So I think he's fully able and capable of seeing like what we showed him and how for him to get back to where he needs to be. It was plain as day, and I think it's an easy adjustment for him. So we'll see this week, but I expect some things to be different for Mason.
Kind of staying on the pitching, Trey Pooser, how big has he been for you guys this year? Just kind of kicking off the weekend with a good start. And just what's your message for him this weekend?
Yeah, so there's been no secret. I mean, he has just helped us tremendously. And even going back to, him starting out in the bullpen, and then Trav having the little hiccup with his lat, and then him just stepping in, he's been really solid, and he continues to just pitch at a very high level. And, again, I just go back to his experience. He's had it. That's where he's thrown. Different teams, different environments, different, but when you're the guy that's been handing the ball on a Friday night for a really long time, there is a comfort level. So just thankful for what he's been able to do, because he's stepped up in big ways.
A lot of people talk about the challenge that Arkansas brings with their pitching staff. What are some other challenges that you think make them as good as they are?
Well, I've spent the last couple of days really trying to focus on us, just watching a ton of video on us from the pitching side, the offensive side. But what I do know, you're right, their pitching is really good. And I think, Hagen Smith, the guy that's on Friday night, should be the first pitcher taken in the Major League draft, right? He's that good. He's left-handed up to 100 miles an hour. Those guys aren't just walking all over this planet, right? So, but they defend at a really high level that I've seen. Their offense, they do what it takes. It doesn't matter if it's, leaving the yard or you getting your extra base hits or grinding you out for a walk. So you don't have their record if you're not well-rounded, right? So when you look at them as a whole, they just do a lot of things at a really high level.
I think you guys have kind of forced the SEC and college baseball to sit up and take notice of Kentucky this year. And I'm wondering if down the stretch, and obviously you don't know what the other teams are doing, but does it seem like they're zeroing in on you guys a little bit more, like, yeah, this team's for real, we really got to bring it against Kentucky?
I would say that the teams in our league, they understand the caliber of play and how well each team is. And each coach is not preparing any more or any less based on the opponent. I don't believe that. I just think the coaches in our league understand the importance of every game. And do we maybe, our style of play maybe change the way they prepare a little bit? I do believe that. But I just don't believe that they're preparing any more for us than they do somebody else, just because every weekend and every game is so important. But I do believe maybe how they prepare is probably a little different, but not any more or less.
You guys went there a couple of years ago, you opened conference play, just an incredible atmosphere. And now this is kind of reminding me of what's out there in our, it's kind of like, I don't know if that's the benchmark, but you guys are approaching that, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of great environments, their place included. I've actually met a lot of friends there, like from their fans. Like when I go there, there's a group of guys that actually feed me after every game because I've been in the league so long. And they used to rag me when I was the first base coach here the first time. They literally used to time to see how fast I would run from the dugout to the first base coaching box. And they still feed me. And when they come up here, if they've, I know when I was at Mississippi State, some of those fans would come by the baseball office and say hi. So they have great fans, but so do we. And to your point, we're starting to have an environment that you're seeing at other SEC ballparks. And Dick, you've been to other ones, so you know what that's like. You know what it's like to be in a stadium full of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000 people at a game. And we're starting to do that now. So speaking of that, Greg sent me some notes. We're excited about the Little League weekend. There's going to be a lot of Little Leaguers. You guys, I just love seeing them. They come on the field, they stand with the anthem, they run on the field with the cats, and what a great opportunity. So it's not too late to register, so fans can still do that. But Friday's the tip of the spear poster giveaway. So that's our poster here. So we're going to be doing that. And then Saturday, we're giving away these, the Lexington Regional, the 23 regional bats. So that's really neat. And then you can't forget these, the Get Weird trading cards on Sunday. So Greg and his staff have done a great job getting all that. So a lot of things for our fans. And, I have this vision of some of these kids and these Little Leaguers being on the field, and some of them are 5 and 6 years old, and maybe one day one of them are going to be playing for us, and they're going to show this picture. And I don't think I'll be the head coach here. I might be retired with my feet up at a beach somewhere, But I just have this vision of these kids coming out here and seeing the fans, and to me, this is how you build something. And then they remember, wow, I remember coming to Kentucky Route Park when we were playing blah, 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 and there was all these people here. And it takes a lot of time, and I'm so thankful for all our fans, all the things that we're doing, these posters, these bats, all these touches just all matter. We were away this weekend, and we had some Kentucky fans, and we're signing balls, and our players are spending time with them and just seeing them. And I just reminded our staff, and I told Kuzi this, just like every one of these little touches, they all matter. And over time, they continue to make connections with our program. When we did our fan day pre-COVID with softball and all those little touches, it's like they all matter. And this weekend is no different. So to have Little League weekend, to have all these kids show up and be a part of this is what is going to help make us great. So I'm excited for that weekend.
You always pull the kids in and speak to them en masse before the game. What do you say?
I ask them who, raise your hand if you want to play for Kentucky one day and you want to be on this field, and they raise their hand, and I said, I'm going to tell you how to do it. And you got to do 3 things great. Number 1, you have to be a great student. And I remind them the importance of listening to their teachers and doing a good job in school. And then I make them all say student. And then I say, hey, the next thing is you got to be a great person. And I remind everybody say person, and they say person. And I just remind them that, hey, you have to obey your parents. And there's a lot of people, and you have to be unbelievable teammates, and you have to celebrate your teammates' successes, and you have to be good to people. You have to make really good decisions. And the third piece is you have to be a really good player. And that means you got to listen to your coaches, you got to work on your craft, and you just got to get better. And then I make them repeat it back to me. I just keep making it. It's like, I don't care if I know it. I want them to know it. And then they say student, person, player, and just remind them. And then we talk about the national anthem and them running out and where they're going to go and how they're supposed to stand. And then I just make sure I thank their coaches, for bringing them, because
You just coach them up.
I coach them up. That's what I do. I coach them up. And
I have one more. Speaking of the weirdness, have you added anything to your repertoire out there in the box for when they're mocking you and mimicking you?
You know, yesterday we played a 3.5 inning scrimmage and James McCoy coached third, and I swear he does it better than me. So he had all the mannerisms. I was like, man, that's what I look like. But have I added anything?
And will you add it?
No, you know, in the second inning is when they really mock me. It's like, it's only the second inning. So, and I have figured that part out. But as far as me adding something, Dick, I'm thinking, I don't think I've.
Well, if you have to think about it, you have.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I have. But I tell you one thing I have done is I have really appreciated their ability to focus on us. And, you know, sometimes in college baseball games, it gets chirpy, right? But our focus and our comments have really been towards us. And we've had some players that like, we've had to like, no, stay with us. And I'll always remember Sean Harney was so good at this. Every time someone like tries to direct something toward the other team, like we would say, stay with us. And Harney he would always go, let's go Kentucky! Here we go Cats! So we do that now in honor of Sean Harney. But we've had some guys turn the corner and they're actually focusing on what we do instead of like staring at everybody else. So, but I have appreciated that. Like, have I done something different? Maybe just a continued focus on that and just hearing their comments. And they dropped the Sean Harney on me and I laugh. And I've enjoyed this group a lot. I've really enjoyed them in so many ways. So let's keep it going.
How many pink hats do you think are going to be out?
Oh, I don't know. I hope a bunch because that means people are locked in and at the game. So that would be good. That would be good. Thank you guys. Go Cats.